So the first question.
Quali sono state le performance del mercato siderurgico europeo in questo primo trimestre del 2024?
Water.
That's not easy to say right now because we do not yet have the data for that. So I can only assume that the situation will now start to improve somewhat, but the challenges are so high that we now do not forecast a huge increase in steel demand for this year. That will start materializing probably after summer and go into next year, where we would expect a significant increase in steel demand. So we will somehow catch up, but it is a long way to go to come back to the levels which we had 2 years ago, just after the COVID peak. Or even in 2019 before COVID. So that's a long way. And also for that, again, we have a very large market penetration by imports, which is a continued concern for us.
Yes, this is the second question.
Ci sono state diverse ipotesi su una possibile estensione del sistema di salvaguardia. Qual è la posizione di Eurofer? Ci sono state delle particolari criticità all'importo lo scorso anno?
Some critical issue last year.
Yes, we have last year around about 20% of the market share was imports, but this is already quite a significant amount or percentage if you consider that we had a significant downturn. Then this share should be much, much lower, which is not the case. And then a lot of this material is coming into unfair conditions, price depressed material because of the global excess capacity. And that is, of course, depressing prices in Europe considerably. So from that perspective, measures are needed, like the safeguards. We are confident that they will continue for 2 years. And then we will, in 2026, we will have the full 8 years of the safeguards, which is the maximum allowed. And afterwards, new instruments need to provide the level playing field for our industry. We have now the safeguards are in most cases at its limits to protect us because the free tariff rates are simply so high that we are coming to the end of the usefulness of this tool, which is in the moment for us a kind of safety net, avoiding sudden large surges of imports, which have also a devastating impact on the market. So this is one point. The sanctions against Russia are of course important, but they have not at all led to a reduction in total imports in our market, because the volumes which are now stopped coming in from Russia have been taken over by other market players in a situation where we have ever increasing excess capacity, not only in China, where this is also now coming to its end, but in other regions, in particular where China does foreign investment to create new capacity, like in Indonesia.
Yeah. So,
Qual è lo status di avanzamento della transizione green per l'industria siderurgica europea?
in this way to the zero emission.
We are still at the forefront of the decarbonization globally. If some say Europe is lagging behind, I think these are wrong. We have more than 60 industrial scale projects. Some of them will be operational in 2026, 27. And we are talking about millions of tons of production here. So it's really industrial scale. Our industry has set out its own objectives for 2030 to reduce another 1/3 of our emissions compared to 2018 levels. So we are doing our job, but what we discussed before, what is lacking is the energy supply at internationally competitive prices. So the energy itself, the volumes we need, and the prices. So we are doing our job here, and there's an interest in the economy downstream to use green steel. There may be some premiums, so some steel will be able to recover, to pass on costs, but we will have to do much more, and the policymakers with green lead markets if we want to put green steel in a really large scale on the market.
Il 9 giugno si terranno le prossime elezioni europee. Qual è la prima richiesta che farete come Eurofer alla nuova Commissione Europea?
At the new European Commission.
So first of all, we are still working with the current Commission, which will still be in place until far into autumn. And some decisions have to be taken in the next 6 months. We had a clean industry dialogue on steel last Friday with Executive Vice President Šefčovič and Vestager. So two of the leading policymakers in the European Commission, and we set clearly out what we require now. But of course, there are also issues which we will have to solve, which cannot be solved in just 6 months. So for that, I would say the fundament for the next 5 years should be a real industrial policy in Europe, which we did not have so far, because industrial policy was guided by competition services, by trade services, by energy services, by environment services, climate services in the Commission. But this is a kind of silo policy. That has to stop. We need an overarching policy for industry and businesses. And for that, we need the right commissioner. We need a first vice president of the European Commission who can overlook that and also take the right decisions. That's one point. The second, and that's probably even more long-term, that is that the WTO itself is not working properly anymore, because there are no clear rules how to create a level playing field for regions that want to decarbonize quicker than others. So you immediately come into the questioning whether this is in line with WTO or not. You are even questioning whether we can have, let's say, support for our exports, green exports, in terms of not submitting free allocation. We believe it's possible, because we are discriminating no one if we receive free allocation for our exports, because the export markets usually do not have any carbon costs at all. Yes. So why should our exports have carbon costs? So this, we believe, is fully in line with WTO, but the services are, the Commission services are more critical on this, and therefore made not this proposal. This, however, is now on the agenda and is admitted by the Commission. That is an issue, and that we need a solution for that. If we don't find a solution, we lose exports of at an amount of 45 billion euros, if you include downstream products such as rails, tubes, etc. And this is a huge amount for the European economy, not only for the steel makers. We are talking about jobs, we are talking about capacity in Europe, if we do not find a solution on that.